I found the envelope by accident. I wasn't snooping. I was looking for our tax documents in Rachel's home office when a manila folder slipped from behind the filing cabinet. My name was on it, but the handwriting wasn't mine. Inside was a DNA test result dated 3 months ago. 2 names, Rachel Morrison and Daniel Chin. Probability of biological relationship, 99.97%. Father and daughter. My hands went cold. We don't have a daughter. We have 2 sons. The paper trembled in my grip as I read it again. Daniel Chin. I'd never heard that name in my life. But Rachel clearly had. The test was ordered by her, paid for by her, and hidden by her. I stood there for 10 minutes, frozen, trying to make sense of it. Then I heard her car pull into the driveway. I shoved the envelope back and walked out like nothing happened. But everything had changed. Before we continue, I would like to know where you're watching from in the comment section. Also hit the subscribe button and share this video, as this will help this video to travel far so others can learn also. My name is Marcus. I'm 39 years old. I work as a teacher at Lincoln High, same school I graduated from 20 years ago. I met Rachel when I was 25. She was a nurse, kind and soft-spoken, always putting others first. Everyone loved her. She volunteered at church, baked cookies for school fundraisers, smiled at strangers. A saint, people called her. We got married after 2 years of dating. She wanted kids right away. I did too. Our first son, Jeremy, was born a year later. Then came Eli, 3 years after that. Life felt complete. But now, staring at that DNA test, I realized I'd been living in a story someone else wrote. And I wasn't the author. I was just a character she needed to play the part. That night, I couldn't sleep. Rachel lay beside me, breathing softly, her hand resting on my chest like always. I wanted to shake her awake and demand answers. But something stopped me. Maybe it was fear. Maybe it was strategy. I'd seen enough crime shows to know that confronting too early gives the guilty person time to cover their tracks. So I played along. I kissed her forehead in the morning. Made breakfast for the boys. Asked her about her day. She smiled and said she had a shift at the hospital. Nothing unusual. But I watched her differently now. Every word felt like a performance. Every smile felt rehearsed. I started wondering how long she'd been lying. And what else she was hiding. I decided to dig carefully. I couldn't let her know I was suspicious. So I started small. I checked our shared banking app while she was at work. Most transactions were normal. Groceries, gas, school fees. But there were regular cash withdrawals. $200 every 2 weeks. Always on Thursdays. Always from the same ATM across town. I pulled up our calendar. Those Thursdays match days she said she was working late shifts. But when I checked the hospital's staff portal using her login, she'd shared her password with me years ago for emergencies, I saw no late shifts scheduled. She wasn't at work. She was somewhere else. And she was paying for something in cash, something she didn't want traced. My stomach twisted. I closed the laptop and sat in silence. I thought about confronting her then. But I needed more. So I kept watching. I started paying attention to her phone. She always kept it face down. Always took it with her to the bathroom. Always silenced notifications when I was around. One evening while she showered, I picked it up. No passcode. She trusted me. Or she thought I was too dumb to be suspicious. I opened her messages. Most were normal. Group chats with nurses. Texts with her mom. But then I saw a thread with a contact saved as Dr. Patel. The messages were deleted. All of them. But the thread was still there. Why delete messages with a doctor? I checked her call log. Dr. Patel called her twice a week. Long calls. 30 minutes. 45 minutes. I Googled the number. It wasn't a hospital line. It was a personal cell phone. Registered to a Daniel Chin. My heart hammered in my chest. Daniel Chin. The same name from the DNA test. I searched him online. His LinkedIn said he was a software engineer in the city, about an hour away. His profile picture showed a man in his early 40s with dark hair and a warm smile. He looked successful. Confident. Nothing like me. I kept scrolling. His Facebook was private, but his profile picture showed him holding a little girl. She looked about 8 years old. Same dark hair. Same smile. The caption read, "My everything." I stared at that picture for a long time. Rachel had a daughter. With this man. And I never knew. My sons never knew. How was that even possible? Where was this child? Why was Rachel getting a DNA test now, after all these years? I didn't sleep that night either. I lay awake, replaying our entire marriage in my head. Had there been signs? Had I missed something obvious? I thought back to the year before Jeremy was born. Rachel had taken a solo trip to visit her sick aunt in Seattle. She was gone for 2 weeks. I'd offered to come, but she insisted I stay for work. When she came back, she seemed different. Quieter. Distant. But she said it was grief. Her aunt had passed away. I believed her. I always believed her. Now I wondered if there was ever an aunt. Or if Seattle was just a cover story. Maybe that's when she had the baby. Maybe that's when she gave the child to Daniel. Or maybe Daniel didn't even know until recently. That could explain the DNA test. I needed proof before I confronted her. So I decided to follow her. The next Thursday, I called in sick to work. Rachel left for her shift at 9 in the morning. I waited 5 minutes, then got in my car and trailed her from a distance. She didn't go to the hospital. She drove across town, past the ATM she always used, and pulled into a small park near the lake. I parked far enough away that she wouldn't notice me. She sat on a bench and waited. 10 minutes later, a car pulled up. Daniel Chin stepped out. And then a little girl ran toward Rachel. Rachel knelt down and hugged her tight. The girl called her Mommy. I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. I grabbed my phone and started recording. I needed evidence. Rachel and Daniel talked while the girl played on the swings. They didn't touch. Didn't kiss. It didn't look romantic. It looked co-parental. Like they were sharing custody. Like this was routine. I watched them for an hour. Rachel smiled more with that little girl than I'd seen her smile in years. She pushed her on the swings. Bought her ice cream from a vendor. Held her hand as they walked around the lake. Daniel stood nearby, watching but not interfering. When it was time to leave, Rachel hugged the girl again, whispered something in her ear, and watched as Daniel drove away with her. Then Rachel sat back down on the bench and cried. She cried for 10 minutes straight. I didn't move. I didn't go to her. Just watched. When she finally wiped her face and walked back to her car, I followed her home. She pulled into the driveway, checked her makeup in the mirror, and walked inside like nothing had happened. I waited 20 minutes before coming in. She was making dinner. Smiling. Humming. Playing the role of the perfect wife. That night, I started asking questions. Casual ones. How was work today? She said it was busy. Did anything interesting happen? She said no. I asked if she ever thought about having more kids. She laughed and said 2 was enough. I asked if she ever regretted anything in life. She looked at me strangely and said, "Why would you ask that?" I shrugged. Just curious. She kissed my forehead and said, "I have everything I need right here." The lie was so smooth. So practiced. I realized she'd been doing this for years. Lying to my face. Making me feel like I was her whole world while she lived a secret life. I wanted to scream. But I stayed calm. I smiled back. I played along. Because I wasn't ready to show my hand yet. I needed to know everything first. The next day, I hired a private investigator. I didn't tell anyone. I paid in cash. The PI's name was Garrett, a former cop who specialized in infidelity cases. I showed him the DNA test, the photos from the park, the phone records. He nodded slowly. "How long do you want me to follow her?" he asked. "As long as it takes," I said. Garrett started tailing Rachel immediately. Within a week, he had a full report. Rachel met Daniel and the girl, whose name was Lily, every Thursday. They'd been doing this for 8 years. 8 years. Lily was born the same year Jeremy was. Rachel had been pregnant with Lily while married to me. She gave birth, gave the baby to Daniel, and came home like nothing happened. Garrett also found emails. Hundreds of them. Between Rachel and Daniel. Co-parenting schedules. Decisions about Lily's school. Arguments about custody. They'd been sharing a child behind my back. The emails broke me. They were so detailed. So coordinated. Rachel had been living 2 lives. One with me and our boys, one with Daniel and Lily. She'd even taken Lily on vacations, telling me she was at nursing conferences. She'd missed Jeremy's soccer games to go to Lily's dance recitals. She'd lied about working holidays so she could spend them with her daughter. Every missed dinner. Every late night. Every time she said she was too tired for us, it was because she was giving her energy to them. I felt like a fool. But I also felt something else. Rage. Cold, calculated rage. I wasn't going to let her keep playing me. I was going to take back control. But I needed to be smart. I needed leverage. I started documenting everything. I printed the emails Garrett gave me. I saved the videos from the park. I pulled our financial records and highlighted every cash withdrawal, every unexplained expense. Then I found something else. Rachel had opened a separate bank account 5 years ago. She'd been funneling money into it. Small amounts at first. $50 here. $100 there. But over time, it added up. There was nearly $30,000 in that account. Money she'd hidden from me. Money that should have gone to our boys' college funds. I took screenshots of everything. Then I contacted a divorce lawyer. Not to file yet. Just to understand my options. The lawyer, a sharp woman named Angela, looked at my evidence and said, "You'll get full custody of your sons. And she'll owe you." But I wasn't ready to file yet. I wanted Rachel to confess. I wanted her to face what she'd done. So I set a trap. I told her I'd been feeling distant lately and suggested we see a marriage counselor. She agreed immediately. Too quickly. Like she'd been expecting it. We went to our first session the following week. The therapist, Dr. Miles, asked us to talk about our relationship. Rachel went first. She cried. She said she felt like I'd been pulling away. That I didn't appreciate her sacrifices. That she did everything for our family while I coasted. I sat there, stunned. She was gaslighting me in front of a therapist. Dr. Miles turned to me. "Marcus, how do you respond to that?" I looked at Rachel. I looked at the therapist. And I said, I respond by asking Rachel to tell the truth. About Lily. The room went silent. Rachel's face drained of color. Dr. Miles looked confused. "Who's Lily?" she asked. Rachel stammered. "I don't know what he's talking about." I pulled out my phone and showed the therapist a photo of Rachel hugging Lily at the park. "This is Lily," I said calmly. "Rachel's daughter. The one she had with Daniel Chin. The one she's been hiding from me for 8 years. Rachel's hands started shaking. She looked at me with wide eyes. "Marcus, please," I cut her off. "I found the DNA test. I followed you. I know everything." Dr. Miles sat back in her chair, stunned. Rachel broke down sobbing. "I can explain," she begged. But I didn't want to hear it. I stood up and walked out. I was done playing her game. Rachel called me 50 times that night. I didn't answer. She came home late, crying hysterically. I was sitting in the living room, waiting. "Marcus, please let me explain," she said. I crossed my arms. "Go ahead." She sat down, wiping her face. "I got pregnant before we got married. Daniel and I were together in college. We broke up and I found out I was pregnant after. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to ruin my life. So I gave her to Daniel. He agreed to raise her. But I couldn't just abandon her. I needed to be in her life." I stared at her. "So you lied to me for 8 years?" She nodded, sobbing. "I thought if I told you, you'd leave me. I couldn't lose you." I laughed bitterly. "You already lost me, Rachel. You lost me the moment you chose to lie." The next morning, I told the boys we needed to talk. Jeremy was 13. Eli was 10. Old enough to understand. I sat them down and said, "Your mom and I are getting a divorce." Jeremy's face fell. "Why?" I took a breath. "Because your mom has been lying to us. She has a daughter you've never met. And she's been hiding her for your whole lives." Eli started crying. "We have a sister?" I nodded. "Yes. But she doesn't live with us. She lives with her dad." Jeremy looked angry. "Did mom cheat on you?" I paused. "It's complicated. But yes, she lied. And I can't stay with someone who lies like that." The boys hugged me tight. I promised them everything would be okay. But I wasn't sure if I believed it myself. Rachel tried everything to stop the divorce. She begged. She threatened. She promised to cut off Daniel and Lily. But I didn't care anymore. I filed the papers. I asked for full custody of Jeremy and Eli based on emotional manipulation and financial dishonesty. Angela, my lawyer, was ruthless. She presented the hidden bank account, the emails, the DNA test, the videos. Rachel's lawyer tried to paint her as a victim of circumstance. But the judge wasn't buying it. Mrs. Morrison, the judge said sternly, you deceived your husband for nearly a decade. You hid a child, diverted family funds, and manipulated your household. I'm granting Mr. Morrison primary custody. Rachel sobbed. Her lawyer put a hand on her shoulder. But there was nothing they could do. I'd won. The divorce was finalized 4 months later. I got the house. I got primary custody. Rachel got supervised visitation and a mandate to pay child support. Her family turned on her when they found out the truth. Her mother called me and apologized. I had no idea, she said, crying. I'm so sorry, Marcus. Even Rachel's friends distanced themselves. The perfect saint image she'd built crumbled overnight. She moved into a small apartment across town. She still saw Lily on weekends. But she barely saw Jeremy and Eli. The boys were angry at her. They felt betrayed. And I didn't push them to forgive her. They needed time. We all did. I started therapy for myself. Not couples therapy. Just me. I needed to process everything. My therapist, Dr. Laurie, helped me see that Rachel's betrayal wasn't about me. It was about her fear, her shame, her inability to face her own choices. She built a life on lies, Dr. Laurie said. And when you started asking questions, the house of cards fell. I realized I'd spent years making excuses for her, ignoring red flags, believing her because I wanted to. But love shouldn't require blind faith. Trust should be earned. And Rachel had destroyed any trust we had. Dr. Laurie asked me one day, do you think you'll ever forgive her? I thought about it. Maybe, I said. But I'll never forget. A year after the divorce, I ran into Daniel Chen at a coffee shop. It was awkward at first. We both froze. Then he walked over. Marcus, he said quietly. Can we talk? I nodded. We sat down. He apologized. I never wanted this to happen. Rachel told me you knew about Lily. I thought you were okay with it. I stared at him. She told you I knew? He nodded. She said you agreed to let her see Lily as long as it stayed private. I swear, I didn't know you were in the dark. I believed him. He seemed genuine. Broken even. Lily asks about her brothers sometimes, he said. She knows she has half-siblings. Maybe one day, when they're ready, they could meet. I told him I'd think about it. But I wasn't ready. Not yet. Jeremy and Eli adjusted over time. They still struggled with what Rachel did. But they were healing. We started new traditions. Movie nights. Weekend hikes. I coached Eli's baseball team. Jeremy joined the debate club. We built a new normal. One without lies. One without secrets. Rachel tried to rebuild her relationship with them. She sent letters. Showed up to games. But the boys were distant. They answered her texts politely but didn't call her Mom anymore. They called her Rachel. It hurt her. I could see it. But I didn't feel sorry for her. She'd made her choices. Now she had to live with them. I started dating again. Nothing serious. Just coffee here and there. It felt strange at first. But also freeing. I wasn't looking for someone to complete me. I was already whole. I'd rebuilt myself. One night, I met a woman named Claire at a bookstore. She was a librarian. Quiet. We talked for hours. She didn't ask about my past right away. She just listened when I was ready to share. I told her everything eventually. She didn't judge. She didn't pity me. She just said, you deserved better. And for the first time in years, I believed it. I deserved better. And I was finally living a life that reflected that. 2 years after the divorce, I got a letter from Rachel. It was handwritten. She apologized. She admitted she'd been selfish. She said she understood if I never forgave her, But she hoped the boys would one day. She ended the letter by saying, "You were a good husband. I just wasn't a good wife." I read it twice. Then I put it in a drawer. I didn't respond. Maybe one day I would. But not yet. The wound was still too fresh. I'd moved on, but I hadn't forgotten. And I didn't owe her closure. I owed myself peace. Today, I'm 42. Jeremy is 16. Eli is 13. We're doing okay. Better than okay, actually. I'm seeing Claire seriously now. The boys like her. She's patient with them. Honest. Everything Rachel wasn't. I still think about that DNA test sometimes. The one I found by accident. The one that unraveled everything. Part of me wishes I'd never seen it. That I'd stayed ignorant. But most of me is grateful. Because I'm free now. Free from lies. Free from pretending. Rachel made me feel like I was losing my mind for years. Like I was imagining things. But I wasn't. I was just married to someone who'd perfected the art of deception. She played the saint. But I was the one who had to live in hell. Not anymore. Now, I'm finally home.